Cats. They are some of the most fascinating creatures on the planet, right? I mean, they're mysterious, they seem so aloof, and they are absolute masters of leaving us guessing. We bring them into our homes, we make them part of the family, but what do we really know about what's going on inside their heads? Well, today, we're going to try and decode the feline mind, using some pretty cool science to get us closer to an answer.
You know the feeling. You look over at your cat and they're just staring into space. Or maybe they're kneading your lap with this intense look. Or my personal favorite, when they knock something right off the shelf while looking you dead in the eye. You just have to wonder, what are you thinking? Well, you're not alone. Scientists are asking that exact same question, and what they're finding is pretty amazing. So let's start with the big one. First up, let's talk about communication. We talk to our cats, we point at things, we make all kinds of faces at them. But are they getting any of it? Are they picking up what we're putting down, or are we basically just talking to ourselves? To figure this out, some clever researchers in the Netherlands designed a really neat experiment. The whole point was to see if cats understand a fundamental concept. Do they get that we have our own point of view, that we can see things or not see things? Okay, so picture this. Here's the first test. A cat comes out of a cage and it sees two people, and both of them have treats. Now, one person is facing the cat, totally ready to interact. The other person? Their back is completely turned. It's a super obvious cue, right? One person can see the cat, the other one can't. The cat's job is simple. Go beg for a treat from the person who can actually give it to you.
And wow, the results were crystal clear. The cats, almost every single time, went right up to the person who was facing them. They totally understood that the person with their back turned couldn't see them and wasn't about to hand over a snack. So right away, that tells us cats are smart enough to read our body language as a sign of our attention. Okay, so they get the obvious stuff. Fair enough. But what about the details? You know, human communication is so often focused on our faces, so the researchers decided to make the test a little harder. This time, both people faced the cat, but one of them was wearing a blindfold. Now think about the difference here for a second. A turned back is a huge whole-body signal. It's impossible to miss. But a blindfold? That's a really small, subtle change, and it's just on the face. For us humans, it's a dead giveaway that someone can't see. But for a cat, maybe not so much. And this is where things get really interesting. The cats, they were completely stumped. It was a total toss-up. They chose the seeing person and the blindfolded person pretty much at random, about 50-50. They were just guessing. That subtle facial cue, the blindfold, it just didn't register. It meant nothing to them. So here's the big takeaway. Your cat is watching you, but they're not reading you like another person would. They get the big picture, your posture, which way your body is pointing, but they totally miss the fine details in your facial expressions. It makes sense when you think about it. They evolved to read other cats from a distance, where body language is absolutely everything. All right, let's move on and debunk another huge cat myth. We have all seen this happen. Your cat misjudges a jump, tumbles to the floor, and then immediately, like instantly, starts grooming itself, almost as if to say, "Pfft, I meant to do that." We always laugh and say they look so embarrassed, but is that what's really going on in their head? I mean, this story from a cat owner is just so relatable, isn't it? The cat looks all proud, fails in a big way, and then seems to just slink away in shame. We can't help but project our own feelings onto them because, let's be honest, that's exactly how we'd feel. But as you can probably guess, the science tells a very different story. You see, feelings like embarrassment are what scientists call complex social emotions. To even feel them, you need a pretty highly developed sense of self. You have to be able to imagine how other people are seeing you and what they're thinking about your actions. It's not just about feeling bad. It's about feeling bad in front of somebody else. And according to experts like veterinarian Dr. Bonnie Beaver, this is a major difference between our minds and a cat's mind. Now, don't get me wrong, cats absolutely have feelings. Primary emotions like fear, happiness, anger, those are very, very real for them. But there is just no scientific evidence to suggest they have that self-conscious awareness that's necessary for embarrassment or guilt. So you can think of it like this. On one side, you have these direct, instinctual feelings that help an animal survive. And on the other, you have these higher-order emotions that evolve to help us navigate really complicated social groups.
Cats just, well, they didn't evolve in a way that required those complex ones.
So, what is going on when your cat takes a tumble and then immediately starts washing a paw? It's something called a displacement behavior. That fall was surprising, maybe even a little stressful. The cat's brain is kind of conflicted. Should I run? Should I stay? And instead of choosing, it just does something totally random and out of context, like grooming, to release all that nervous energy. It's a coping mechanism, not a social one.
And all of this brings us to what might be the most important mind shift of all. To really, truly understand cats, we have to stop comparing them to other animals, especially to dogs.
This quote from Carlos Sirasuza, a veterinary behaviorist, just nails it. This is probably the biggest mistake we all make. A cat isn't just a small dog that you don't have to walk. They are a fundamentally different kind of animal with a mind that was shaped by a completely different history.
Let's just break it down. Dogs come from wolves, animals that hunt, live, and survive in these cooperative packs. Pleasing the leader and understanding all the little social cues is literally a matter of life and death for them. Cats, on the other hand, evolved from solitary hunters. Their success was all about their own stealth, their independence, and their ability to solve problems for themselves, not about fitting into a group.
Cognitive psychologist Jennifer Vonk says it perfectly here. We can't look at other animals as just lesser versions of us or of other animals we know better. A cat's mind isn't a broken dog's mind. It is a mind that is perfectly, brilliantly adapted for the life of a cat.
Okay, so what does all this science actually mean for you and the cat sitting on your couch right now? How can we use all this to be better friends to our mysterious little companions?
Well, it really boils down to three key things. First, watch their whole body. Just like that experiment showed us, their posture and their tail will tell you way more about their mood than trying to read their face. Second, you have to honor their inner hunter. Hiding food and puzzle toys gives them that mental workout that their brains are hardwired for. And finally, respect their social style. They come from solitary creatures, so let them decide when it's time to cuddle. Don't force it.
By understanding where they come from, we can finally stop seeing them as weird little dogs and start appreciating them for what they really are. These perfectly evolved, independent, and endlessly fascinating creatures. So the next time you look at your cat, you won't just see a pet, you'll see a masterpiece of evolution.